In just a few hours, the curtain comes down on the Winter Olympics in Italy, where our Seth Doane is certainly feeling the Olympic spirit.
The Olympic figure skating gala in Milan last night saw no judges, no rankings, just a spectacular show of athleticism. It's the sort that's been on display these past 2 weeks across a range of winter sports, eliciting exuberance,
amazing, amazing, amazing,
global elation, and national pride.
Instantly spotted as Americans.
At the center of it, scores, speeds, and of course, medals.
It's over a pound.
Oh wow, it's really heavy. It's all unfolding on a global stage with the most spectacular backdrop. Slim margins separate these superstar athletes on ice and snow, but it is not the statistics most will remember, rather something that is far more difficult to quantify. The human spirit and grit needed to endure the ups and downs in that Olympic-level pressure, all in the quest to reach the podium.
Alyssa Liu's sheer joy lifted her right off one, skates and all, while skier Breezy Johnson was so excited for gold, her medal broke.
Yeah, it came apart. They're like, don't jump in them. And it's like, you're sort of telling people like not to celebrate in their medals, which is like all anybody wants to do.
Getting to that celebration is the allure and next level challenge.
If I was fourth in a World Cup race, people would say, you'll get them next time. And in the Olympics, it's like clickbait titles and headlines and articles for quite some time.
Mikaela Shiffrin is the most decorated alpine skier of all time. But after 8 years without any Olympic medal, she could have drowned in the chatter about her Olympic drought.
I unsubscribed from all the articles and all the publications that I normally follow.
To block everything out?
Yeah, just to create a bubble around myself and my team together so we could show up with like unity and cohesion. And really the concerns are criticism in the face of showing up with an underwhelming performance.
It was anything but. On Wednesday, Shiffrin was triumphant, scoring her third Olympic gold.
But even with this slalom race, I felt on both the first run and the second run, there was 3 or 4 different spots in my run that I could have been off the course in the blink of an eye.
Because you were pushing yourself harder than you were comfortable with?
No, it's kind of what fast skiing demands. And the world's best slalom skiing right now is there's no room to be conservative in the way you tactically approach the gates. You have to go straight at that thing. You point your ski tips straight at it. And somehow you need to end up about this far away from it.
At such speed, the slightest miscalculation can be disastrous. Lindsey Vohn's push for an Olympic comeback ended in a terrifying crash. Still, 4 surgeries later, she posted the ride was worth the fall.
You know, we're not trained out there to be robots.
Figure skating quad god Ilia Malinin fell twice during his free skate and did not fully execute the program he'd planned, acknowledging to my colleague Kelly O'Grady that superhuman ambition has its limits.
It's really hard physically, mentally, emotionally. There's so much that goes into the sport.
Malinin hoped to introduce his signature quad axel to Olympic-level competition. He was favored for gold, but placed 8th in the individual event.
I think a lot of people go through good days and bad days, so I think it was actually more of a way for people to relate and see that, you know, this is truly incredible what we do.
At this level, it's not a bad day, but seconds or fractions of them that can change everything. Bobsledder Elana Meyers Taylor secured her first Olympic gold by 0.04 of a second.
When you hit the curves right, and when you're gliding, it feels like being a superhero. It's the closest thing to flying I could ever imagine.
We saw her balancing training and parenting when we met in Cortina in November, and heard how as a bobsledder, she often has to be inventive.
Also part of training is pushing the SUV up the driveway?
The bobsleds are very heavy, so we have to be able to push these. And push at the start, that's time you can't get back.
While Meyers Taylor's the most decorated black athlete in the Winter Games, she'd still dreamed of gold. And when finally getting it this past week, she used sign language to tell her son, "Mommy won." Family was also on Mikaela Shiffrin's mind when she won her gold, albeit without her dad, who died in 2020.
The journey I've been on to accept this moment happened long before the moment.
To accept winning?
Yeah. Well, winning an Olympic medal without him here was terrifying to me before I knew that it was. I work with a psychologist regularly, and she was here for these whole 2 weeks, and we had daily conversations. It was back in July when I first talked to her about these concerns around the Olympics and saying, like, I don't know that I want to win.
What a weird thing to think about, to even be able to
be afraid
accept.
to win. It's been a journey just to get to the moment where I could take this race day and say, I do want this moment. I want to execute the skiing, and I also want him here.
Grappling with the range of human emotions on the world's biggest sports stage is maybe not something the rest of us can identify with, but perhaps it can inspire.